back another one. Hooter Booters. Okay, welcome back, Roller Booters. Happy to have you here. If you are new here, my name's Ben Sanders. Very passionate about rollerblading, hence this channel, roller booting. I've been skating for about 20 years. It's a blast. And so I'm really excited if you are a newer skater or just getting into it. Congratulations on getting into it. So as the title would imply, we're going to talk about the 5 mistakes that I see newer skaters make. And before we get into those 5, I just want to kind of preface this with kind of one overarching mistake that I sometimes see is that this sport can be, well, this sport has a lot of barriers to entry, kind of a high barrier to entry in a number of different ways, whether it's the price of skates, whether it's, you know, all the seemingly ever-changing lingo that we try to name tricks.
No one should have true negative souls like that.
Mistrials and all the variations, top sides, misfits, alley-oop mistrials.
360 Christ Markio, he does both ways.
The next one's full cap true fish. I'm not quite sure I've ever done that trick in my life.
Morning, girls! I know some of these words.
Or just the difficulty, the risk of injury, and kind of there, you know, I have to imagine there has to be some kind of intimidation factor where because most skaters still skating today have a lot of experience. We've just been in the sport a long time. At least that's what I've seen. And so entering a group of people who have a huge amount of experience and are doing things that are beyond, you know, what perceivably that you can do, you know, it has to be a little bit intimidating. And so the biggest mistake I see is not soliciting advice, not asking questions, not being curious, and then not really accepting, either being defensive about receiving advice or information or not implementing it, whatever it is. But most skaters today, again, have been in the sport a long time and they're extremely passionate about it. Right? It kind of weeds out the people who aren't very passionate about it, whether it's through injury or pain or money or whatever it is. The people who are in it today are committed to the sport. More experienced skaters know that it's important for the survival of the sport to get new, fresh skaters in the sport. And as such, the vast majority of skaters today, experienced skaters, will be happy to share advice and tips and tricks and whatever. You just have to ask for it and be open and receptive to that. So with that, I'll leave that there. And before we get into the 5 tips, if you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button and giving the video a thumbs up if you do end up liking it. It helps get rollerblading out to more people here on YouTube. So thanks for that. The first mistake that I see with beginners is, and this is a big one, is not looking where you want to go. The mistake is looking where you are, maybe looking right down at your feet, maybe looking, I think that's probably the most common, is just looking straight down, right? Seeing what your feet are doing down there. And it's just like any other sport or even driving, right? If you're driving down the road and you look to your left and you look at the cute girl or whatever riding down the sidewalk, you're gonna probably start veering left unintentionally. Well, it's the same thing. Like if you're looking down or if you're looking anywhere other than where you desire to go, it's probably gonna throw you off until you get a lot more experience and you can have that level of body awareness to kind of look where you want without it affecting your body position. But when you're learning, whether it's rolling, whether it's grinding, whether it's whatever, right? Look where you intend to go. And that takes time. So, because until you have that muscle memory of where your feet, whether it's, you know, grinding, where your feet land in a sole grind position or a front side position, you haven't built that muscle memory yet to kind of know where your feet are landing. And so it requires looking down, at least at first, right? And so, but understand that over time, you should be mindful that you need to look where you intend to go. And I have to remind myself about this often when I'm trying different challenging tricks or whatever. I'll have to pull myself back and remind myself, hey, look where you want to go instead of where you are. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is really only practicing or only skating when you're at the skate park. There's a number of different ways that you can skate when you're not at a skate park, whether it's street, and I know not everyone has this luxury, and I get it. Some people, you know, maybe you have a dirt driveway or this, or you don't have a paved garage, or you don't have this or the other, but I would urge you to try to either buy or build a practice rail, a P rail, or a P box, or both. You can buy these online. In addition to that, you can get the little kicker ramps.
No regrets. You nailed it. Oh!
And anything like that, just to get reps at your house while you're sitting on the couch on a Sunday and you're not able to go to the skate park for whatever reason. Maybe it's raining, maybe it's whatever. You can just go out to the garage or go out to the driveway and practice, because part of this, you can get the best advice from the best skaters. But there's kind of an old saying or whatever that like you can't really learn to ride a bike by reading about it in a book. You know, you can get an idea, but until you actually go out and ride the bike, it's the same thing. Until you actually go out and get those reps in and put in the time, you're not going to probably progress quite at the rate that you would otherwise progress, if that makes sense. Number 3 mistake is that, and this is no secret, is beginners are often kind of stiff and guarded and upright, because that's how we walk around in life. We don't walk around with our knees slightly bent. We don't kind of crouch down and have a low center of gravity. It's kind of unnatural. And we're kind of stiff to have that like sort of, you know, almost protective sort of, you know, posture in a way. But it's really important to bend those knees and bend those hips and try to get nice and low, whether it's when you're skating, whether it's when you're grinding, whatever it may be. The goal, and you're going to get smoother and more fluid over time, but the goal is to be mindful of this early and start pushing forward in that direction as soon as you can, right? Having nice bent knees, having a nice staggered stance, just like really any other athletic sport, whether, you know, anything that you do on your 2 feet, really, you're gonna, in general, right, especially these type of action sports or whatever, you're going to have a nice staggered stance in some way, shape, or form, and you're going to have nice bent, loose knees, and same thing with your hips, right? So focus on that stance, creating a lower center of gravity. It's going to help you get your feet into a better position on grinds. It's going to help you maintain a lower and better center of gravity, and it's going to keep you from falling backwards, falling forwards, whatever it is. So that's tip number 3, or that's mistake number 3. Mistake number 4 is trying to learn or do switch ups, which if you don't know what a switch up is, all that means is doing one grind and switching your foot position into a different grind. And the mistake is that a lot of beginners try to learn that too early. You're kind of putting the cart before the horse, right? Learn to do the grind effectively. I would say learn to do the grind effectively, be able to do it consistently and comfortably before you consider switching up to a different grind, because all it's doing is adding complexity and adding difficulty. And if you're not even already able to do the first grind consistently and effectively, then again, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse, and you're going to probably start creating some bad habits in that way. I don't want to keep you from pushing and challenging yourself, but with switch ups, I see a lot of people sometimes rushing to do switch ups before they can do the first grind. And it just, I think it inhibits more progress than it promotes. And in that spirit of, you know, again, I don't want to deter you, but I think mistake number 4 is getting a little bit over ambitious and trying bigger ramps, bigger rails, bigger obstacles than you're really ready for. Because what happens a lot, and if you've been in the sport a while, you've seen it, is that, you know, it is easy to get injured in the sport, big time. I have like 3 injuries right now that are bogging me down a little bit. But trying jumps or trying to drop in huge quarter pipes when you haven't really mastered the smaller obstacles first is kind of a recipe for disaster. Again, I don't want to keep you from challenging yourself and progressing, but again, I say this again, it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. If you're trying bigger and bigger and bigger obstacles, you're just setting yourself up for failure if you haven't already gotten comfortable and effectively mastered some of the smaller stuff, right? Because I don't want you to get hurt and kind of quit the sport, because that's what a lot of people do. I don't want that to happen with you. So with that, those are the 5 biggest mistakes that I see newer aggressive skaters making. And I hope this was helpful. If it was, give the video a thumbs up, consider hitting the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. And for the more experienced skaters out there, please let me know what other big mistakes you see down in the comments section. And beginners, go check it out. Ask any questions. And we have a great community here of rollerbladers that'll definitely help you out. So thanks. We'll see you next time. Which one of these videos looks more interesting to you? This one or this one? Click one to support the channel and to support rollerblading, and I'll see you there.